Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. The key to your financial problems, a solution to your financial situation, lies in your ability to cut your spending. If you cannot cut your spending, you won't be able to save more. You will not be able to utilize money to invest more. A lot of people I see, tons of people I work with every day eating out at Dunkin Donuts every day, but really don't have the money. If they're going to spend money, they should spend money where it's necessary, but they won't spend money on saving themselves money by investing time somewhere else. What do I mean? Instead of taking the time to pre-plan and make their sandwiches or their lunches before, see this right here? Bring my lunch to work every morning. So I can limit my spending by not also buying groceries and also happen to eat out. But that's not what a lot of people do. They will simply just keep on spending because I want this, I want that. There is no discipline. I talked to my son last night about discipline. Parents used to, and I still think some do, because a lot of people say that, no one disciplines. I discipline my children all the time. But discipline doesn't always have to be everyone's assumed form of discipline. Discipline could be reprimanding, taking things away, putting kids in timeout, putting kids in punishment, grounding kids, or taking away incentive or things that they like to do. There's many ways to instill discipline into a child. And it doesn't always need to be met at the end of your hand. Not saying that I have anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying that it's not always the immediate choice to pick up the old beating a person card, spanking. But it does say spare the rod, spoil the child, and a lot of kids have been spared a rod, and we do not see children who are not spoiled nowadays. So, you tend to look at the laws being passed, and they're passed for the extreme, not for the maintenance. I talked to my son about discipline. The ability to become disciplined is generally from the process of instilling discipline. My son being disciplined, he was reading, and I've said, hey, you're not reading well, you're not speaking well, so then he kind of consents to ignoring it. He continues the bad behavior, and then now we have to implement, certain tenets now to get him to adhere to what I'm saying. And I told him, I said, your inability to stay disciplined when you're reading, your handwriting. Now he's 8 and we could always make excuses, but I'm going to tell you something. Stop making excuses for your kids. Stop making excuses, giving them an out, and then complaining later on how your kids are a problem. A lot of people make an excuse for a child today that they don't make exception for when they're an adult. They just a baby. Even baby animals have the understanding of what to and not to do. We got to stop treating our children like they're just, dumb idiots with no brain being formed. Even a baby learns how to manipulate. They understand if I cry, this thing, I don't know what this thing is, but they call it milk, is going to come into my mouth and I'm going to be happy. If I do something in these drawers, this diaper here, somebody's going to come clean it up, whether it's out the front or the back. I'm learning patterns of behavior. And the measure of discipline, shout out to Don Coombs again, when you instill discipline, you become self-disciplined later on. When a parent instills discipline in their child, it is evident in the child in the way that they do things. You see my form of discipline in posting on social media. You see my form of discipline, and every day you see a video, generally of me going to work. That is a form of discipline, self-discipline. The whole point of disciplining your children is to make sure they have an internal system, a foundation built upon the discipline that you've given them. I told my son this. If you ever think about baseball players that are professionals, or any professional sport, Michael Jordan, classic example, he got cut from his team, went out and practiced. He became disciplined to be great. And even after he got on the team, got into the NFL, he still became even more disciplined to become the GOAT. And I told my son that. But again, there had to be some installation of discipline at the home environment. If there is no installation of discipline, and it is not instilled into the child to understand where they self-correct When they are disciplined for something, then they will no longer have an internal system of self-correcting, no measure of discipline, no form of discipline in the future when they are operating independently as an adult. And that, again, is an issue that we see. So you want to change your finances, you want to get your financial house in order, but you don't have any self-discipline to take away the things or correct the things that are essentially bad habits to your financial and successful outcomes. There's nothing wrong with Dunkin Donuts, but there's something wrong with getting Dunkin Donuts when you cannot afford it. And when I say you can't afford it by spending on Dunkin Donuts and having the luxury of investing or saving money or having, you got to put it on credit. And that's the problem. You got people in thousands of dollars of credit card debt, and they can't pay off the credit card debt because they don't want to lose all the money in their savings, not understanding that you really don't have $10,000 in savings when you have $7,000 of credit card debt. You really only have $3,000 of savings, because that's what people would equate to your net worth. What is your value after all your debts are paid? If you got to satisfy all your debts, then again, your net worth is what's after all of that. It's called net, not gross. That's what people don't understand. They're trying to claim that their gross worth is in their savings bank or total investments. Well, not after you settle your debts. Your estate needs to be settled, especially if you're not a business owner. And not everything's tucked into an LLC where you could just claim bankrupt and default into it. But that's we'll get into that another time. But my point in saying that to people is that you have to have some measure of discipline. You have to have some internal discipline, and parents need to instill discipline to build self-discipline for your children. It is essential that children become self-disciplined. They can form or course correct or self-correct when they are making things that do not lead to successful outcomes. It's no more than Steph Curry working on his left because his left hand dribble is not as good as his right. And then he becomes just as good with his left hand dribble as he does with his right hand dribble. And that is because he is increasing his form of discipline, his self-discipline to work on things that he is not proficient at. And it's not as hard as you think. The only thing that is the hardest part is actually trying. I hope you enjoyed this video. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com. Of course, I am stuck in traffic. Again, on the way to the city. It's annoying, but it soon will come to an end. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands. Thanks for riding with me, folks. I hope you like this video, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.